appreciate you showing up for this, and we're looking forward to doing a presentation on how to inspire your customers to invest in iMachining. We're going to give everybody about 3 to 4 minutes here to let the stragglers kind of come in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So. We're going to get into a lot of different things here about kind of ideas on how to present this to your customers and prospects. These will be ideas that we've found to be successful, and hope you'll enjoy them. A hold pattern for just a few moments to kind of let the late arrivers get in and get settled, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Coming through. Okay, we've got another just now joining us. We're kind of holding up just here a few more minutes to let some stragglers come in. We're going to be presenting to you today about inspiring your customers to invest in iMachining. We hope you're gonna like this presentation. So just a few more minutes and we'll get started. I want to introduce everybody that's here today. Myself, I'm Ken Merritt, and with me is going to be Steve Welsh. He's kind of the master of our sales team over here.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, Ken, but thank you. Welcome, everyone.
I'll take it up there. But Emil Somek is here also with us today and would like to open up with a message to you all. Emil, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, our dear SolidCAM team and partners. I hope both salespeople and technical people have joined us, because this very important webinar is given both by Ken Merritt, our super iMachining technical expert, and Steve Welch, our superstar sales manager of SolidCAM Inc., and I'm not exaggerating. So, watching this amazing webinar, you will learn from these two sales and technical experts the proven sales techniques used by SolidCAM Incorporated staff to best convince our US customers to buy iMachining 2D and iMachining 3D. I could tell you that SolidCAM Incorporated has today the highest ratio worldwide of all our affiliates, branches, and resellers in iMachining 2D. 83% of their customers have iMachining 2D, and iMachining 3D, 54% of the US customers have iMachining 3D. An amazing penetration, and I'm still badgering them to get 100%, because this is how it should be. 100% of customers should have SolidCAM. Because as we all know, every new prospect that you are looking to convince to buy SolidCAM should buy iMachining. And every existing SolidCAM customer that he didn't buy it when he bought SolidCAM should get iMachining. Because a SolidCAM customer with iMachining, and I believe this 100%, is a lucky, really lucky and happy customer, because he's enjoying the amazing iMachining savings in cycle time, tool life, and the amazing result. So, I hope I'm not insulting some salespeople. A salesperson who fails to convince a prospect or a customer to get iMachining, whether it's a new prospect, as I said, or existing customer with no iMachining, is actually doing a great disservice to the customer. iMachining is SolidCAM gift to the machining world, but still, as like every gift, it has to be delivered. And you SolidCAM sales staff are the deliverers of iMachining. So please do it. Enjoy the webinar and learn from it. Okay, Ken and Steve, floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Emil. Appreciate it. All right, so we're going to start off this by talking a little bit about something that we've run into many times, and what we call it the disbelief factor. And Steve can tell you a lot about this. We've run into this for years and years and years. Has to do with a lot of different reasons, but Steve, tell us just a couple of those reasons.
Yeah, you know, Ken, it's interesting over here in the States and Canada that a lot of these companies that we deal with have 1, 2, even 3 CAM systems, and they've been down this path before where they've somewhat been kind of tricked or hoodwinked into, you know, buying a package, they take delivery of the package, and it never lives up to the hype, and they feel let down. So, you know, what we feel here in the States, and the website contains a ton of really good videos, highly stylized, highly polished, but the reality is these prospects that we're talking to have probably seen that from all of our friendly competitors. So we're taking a little bit of a different approach on it, Ken, over here.
Yeah, a little bit, because some of the things that I've seen, just a personal experience, trade shows and being involved in some of our sales presentations and such, these videos are fantastic. We've got a great team putting them together. I mean, they are some of the most beautiful videos you can imagine, and we run them at all of our trade shows. We have them up on our big TV screens up above our tower and everything. We call them our ambassador videos. And the funny part is, you know, they've got beautiful lighting. Everything is super clean. The parts are shiny. The tools are just absolutely in order. The interesting part is people are looking at them, and I can't tell you how many times I've walked out and said, so are you seeing something you're interested in up there? And they're like, nah, yeah, it's marketing videos, you know, I know it's not for real. Or they look at it and they go, yeah, anybody can machine aluminum like that. You know, there's just not a heavy belief factor. And so some of that really amazes us, the consistency with which people just don't want to believe these videos. Isn't that kind of what you see, Steve?
100%, Ken. You hit the nail on the head, and that if we've heard it once, we've heard it 100 times. Oh, anybody can do that in aluminum. And when we tell them that that's stainless steel, there's still that defense. They throw up the defenses, and well, you probably sped up the video, or
exactly,
you maximize you know, the machine and the rates and the feeds and everything else to try to catch my attention. So
right. It's, you know, the funny thing, we get accused of marketing. You know, it's like, well, of course we're marketing, but we're marketing for real. Okay. And so we've kind of come across something that we like to use. Again, like I said before, we love these videos, and we always use them at our trade shows up on our ambassador screens and such. But there's something about cell phone videos. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but the cell phone videos don't appear to be staged. I mean, you know, look at the vise in this thing. It's being held down by a couple of bolts and some flat washers. You know, this is the kind of stuff you see in a real shop sometimes. It's not what I would call good, but, you know, these are things that actually show up sometimes. You know, the machine's not real clean. It's a grainy picture. There seems to be a little bit more street credibility. And Steve, where do we get some of these videos?
You know, it's interesting, Ken. If we're doing a training class, we'll pop out the cell phone video and take them, you know, on the fly as we're doing some training. And, you know, they really resonate. I'll go back to, hey, it might not be a state-of-the-art machine, but a lot of these customers aren't using state-of-the-art machines. So it really kind of, you know, sparks off in their mind that, hey, this could be reality for my shop.
Right. And so when we're talking with a prospect, or when we're dealing with a customer that, for whatever reason, didn't buy iMachining to begin with, we use these really to kind of, you know, help with that disbelief factor. It seems to be a little easier to understand, especially you got to be careful with ones that you take in the shop. A lot of times you'll get one from a customer or something like that, and, you know, shop talk, okay? I mean, they may be explicatives being said, so you might want to watch that before you present that to a new prospect. But you can trim and clip those and get that out of it. It's pretty funny sometimes, but it's really cool because it's the customer's excitement that really comes across and begins to make things more believable.
Exactly.
Because we're talking about true success stories, okay? And there's nothing better in your sales presentation when you're trying to convince either a new prospect or an existing customer to invest in iMachining. There's nothing better than true success stories to really help them understand where they can gain a benefit in this. So let's talk a little bit about who the customer really is. You know, what is our customer base? Who are we talking to? You know, are we talking to the board members? I mean, some people think that that's the right thing to do sometimes. And those guys probably want to see those stylized videos, right, Steve?
100%. You really have to understand your audience in order to pick and choose the correct, videos and marketing material. So
yeah, absolutely.
Time and a place for everything, Ken.
Right, exactly. But I think most often, this is the crowd we're talking to, okay? We're talking to the machinists. We're talking to, you know, the shop general managers. This is their environment, okay? Their environment is generally not polished and pristine, okay? So they tend to appreciate when we show them something that's actually real world, okay? And sometimes that means not using something that is super high performance. You know, we have to fight off illusions all the time. And there are some real illusions in this industry when they see all of these videos. You know, all the videos are super high performance. They're all, you know, powerful machines. And one of those illusions is that iMachining requires a super machine. Well, that's just not true, okay? This video here is one of my favorites. This is not real sexy, okay? But let me tell you what this is. This is a TM2 open bed tool room mill from Haas. This thing is old and tired, all right? This customer is one of our customers out in Denver, and that's where this video came from. We were on site. I was proving this out to him. The pocket you see over there on the left, he machined his way on this machine. Now, this machine's only got a 4,500 RPM spindle. It can only run about 50 inches a minute before it runs into data saturation. But he's got a 3/8 inch end mill in there. In that pocket on the left, he could only go 50 thousandths deep at 2,200 RPM, 18 inches a minute, before it started just rattling this machine so bad that it would just chip up the tool. And so that wasn't very functional for him. So we did something a little bit different. You'll notice I'm all the way down at a full 1 inch here. Let's go ahead and bring this forward a little bit. You can see the chips that are being thrown off of this. Now, again, if you watch carefully, you'll see that we're kind of running up against that data saturation. There's still some pausing and hesitation in there, but I'm using everything this machine has got. It's got 4,500 RPM on the spindle. I'm using every bit of it. I've maxed out the chip thickness and the angle such that we're taking advantage of that 50 inches a minute best we can. Again, this is not something we want to show on an ambassador video, okay? But let's take a look at this. Here we are most of the way through it. Look at the chip color, still absolutely gorgeous. Now, something to know, in that pocket on the left, he would get down to the bottom of that pocket in 2 hours and 26 minutes. Remember, we're doing 50,000 steps at 2,200 RPM, 18 inches a minute. So there's 20 steps in this thing to finish it. By the time he got to the bottom, that tool was shot. So he'd put a new tool in, finish the wall off, and he'd use that tool to start the next part, okay? Well, take a look at this. Here we are, finishing up on this at 7 minutes and 25 seconds, okay? And that tool lasted 10 parts. So that was a dramatic difference on an old, beat-up, weak machine that was in need of some service, quite honestly. Okay?
Well, Ken, and what we do on the sales side here is explain to customers that we maximize the productivity of each and every machine on the planet. It doesn't matter if it's a 4,500 spindle.
Absolutely.
15, 20,000 K spindle for sure. I mean, you're going to get even better performance. But at the end of the day, not everybody has state-of-the-art equipment like this gentleman.
Well, and how many times, Steve, have we been talking to a customer about iMachining, and I say, yeah, you know, I've seen your videos, but yeah, I don't have any machines like that, man. I don't have any high-speed machines. I can't use it.
Yeah, it comes up all the time. Or maybe there's a machine in the back. Ken, we have had a scenario or multiple scenarios where people were looking at adding equipment to try to keep up with the workload. And we present iMachining to them. It can double, triple, you know, quadruple the productivity of that machine, which necessitate or, you know, makes them not have to buy that brand new machine.
Right.
So
they
really,
might be able to save on some capital investment.
I can't stress enough the fact that iMachining maximizes the productivity of every machine on the planet goes a long way, and that resonates with people too. So,
well, another one of those illusions. Well, we have to have super high performance tools to be able to do that. No, it's not true either. Okay, this is an AccuPro. This is an 1/8" AccuPro tool. This is running in a Haas VF2 SS. So it's a mid-range machine. It's got a 12,000 RPM spindle, but that 1/8" tool is a 1/4 inch deep in mild steel, and we're taking out an 1¼ inch square pocket out of the corner of this thing. Okay. Now this is using their machine that they have, and watch how this thing takes care of this business right here. We're really deep for that 1/8" tool, and this is just an AccuPro off the MSC catalog. You know, one of the least expensive tools on the market. And look at the performance we're getting out of this thing. It's absolutely stunning. Videos like this really meet the end user where they need to be. They go, yeah, I can do that on my machine with the tooling that I buy. Okay.
And a lot of times customers are used to buying big, huge end mills and trying to plow through the material. We get a lot of traction with the ability, because of the intelligence of iMachining. Hey, Mr. Prospect, you can buy smaller, less expensive tools and get better results because of the way the intelligence built into iMachining and the way that it manages that tool's engagement in the material at all times. So that seems to set off a light bulb in their head too, where, hey, I can buy smaller tools, get better results, and it's a win-win all the way around.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another of those illusions that we run into all the time, it comes right in there with that, what you were just saying, Steve, is the horsepower requirements. And this is where we can really turn something upside down for these customers. It changes their entire mentality. Most of you have probably seen this video. It's one of our favorite ones. We take this machine to trade shows with us sometimes. This is a little LaVille LMV 300 machine. That's only a 3.5 horsepower spindle on there. And we're in 1018 cold roll steel at 3/8 of an inch deep on a 3/16 inch diameter tool. So 2 times diameter deep again. But look at how, on this little bitty desktop machine, low horsepower spindle. It's a fast one. We're running at 18,000 RPM right now. But we're able to cut amazing with this. And we use this at trade shows to really bring that sense of reality to people. Now, one of the things that is kind of always brought up is, well, yeah, but what about the customers that do have high performance machines? You know, Steve, what do we run into with that?
Well, with the, you know, being able to look at, you know, a machine like this, the light bulb example, again, the light bulb goes off on in their heads, and that, holy cow, if I could get that type of productivity off of a small machine, imagine what I could do with my state-of-the-art gear.
Exactly.
And I think oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so this gives us a reason why we use a lot of these cell phone videos. And again, this is a cell phone video. This was at the trade show. We were setting up, and I just pulled my phone out and I took a video of this as we were running it. And it's not super fancy, okay, but it's real. You can hear the sound of the cut. You can see the chips flying everywhere. And they get the sense of what's going on in this. Even being able to see outside and see, oh my gosh, this thing's sitting on carpet. Holy cow, you know? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ken, I think there was a story about IMTS 2018. I can't remember if it was on the old machine we have, the retrofitted machine, or if it was on this one. But
I know which one you're talking about. That was actually this machine. That was pretty interesting, guys. This is something that was kind of fun. I was standing out in the aisle, and a group of guys came walking by. I could see, who was the leader. It was obvious he was the alpha dog. And so as he came by, I said, "Hey, how you doing? You guys do any CNC machining?" And he looks over at me, looks up at our monitors and sees what we're doing up there. He goes, "Yeah, we've got MasterCAM. We've had it for years. We don't need to see anything like you've got here." I go, "Well, have you seen our iMachining?" They go, "We got dynamic mill. It's the same thing." I said, "Well, no, it's not really the same thing." And he's trying to walk away the whole time. And I said, "Could you give me just a little bit of time to show you what's different about it?" His comment was, "No, I don't have any time. We're busy." And he started to walk away. And I said, "Come on, man, can you give me a minute and a half? Okay, that's all I'm asking for. A minute and a half, you can walk away." And he looked at me, and you could see the thought process in his mind. He goes, "Man, this guy's persistent, So all right, fine, I'll give you a minute and a half. Make it quick." So it just so happens this machine was set up and ready to run, and we were getting ready to do a presentation. So I walked his group over in front of the machine. He was in front of everybody. I didn't say a thing. I just reached over and pushed the green button, and this cut took off. And about 20 seconds into the cut, there was a physical change in him. His shoulders slumped down. He looked down. He looked back up at the machine. He goes, "Holy crap. Yeah, dynamic mill won't do that." There was a reality moment right there for him. Okay. What happened is he wound up spending the next hour going through a full demonstration of SolidCAM with us because of what he saw in this little bitty machine. Okay. So it can be very powerful. It can be very powerful to use videos like this.
Well, and Ken, it's kind of interesting because when we get into a presentation with a prospect, if they're on their game, they quickly realize that this isn't just a toolpath like dynamic mill, a modified step-over program. Because of the intelligence built into iMachining, it is truly unique. And we bring up the fact that we have, 7, 8 patents on the product.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, to the naked eye, the fact you're cutting full length of the tool or the cutting length of the tool, they all do look the same. But when you really drill down, and trust me when I tell you that if a guy is on his game, he quickly realizes that iMachining is unique compared to all those other, full depth cutting strategies out there.
Right, and this is where the strategy that we've been using really comes in handy. We don't do a single man presentation. We always have an account manager to represent the business side. We always have a technical expert to represent the technical side, because that's who's got to talk to these guys about what's going on. And Steve's great about bringing up all the things that are true values in iMachining. But then myself or one of the other techs can get in and we can talk about, and briefly, we can tend to get carried away. And Steve's pretty good at drawing me back. He's thrown a lasso around me a couple times and sucked me back down, But we can get in and start talking about technical stuff that's really cool. We can talk about the physics of what's going on in iMachining. And when the customer begins to realize that we are truly talking about something that is technically different than all of the other competitors on the market, then some of those disbelief factors begin to settle back down even further, because now they're seeing, well, maybe there really is something to this. I like to talk to them about the force vector on the flute, and the fact that because of the way we manage the engagement of the tool to the material so precisely, that sharp end of the flute, the most delicate part of that tool, never sees anything except compressive force. It's never seeing tensile force, which would cause it to microfracture. Okay, and comments like that, even if they're just sort of thrown out there, can really draw people's attention into, man, there may be something really different about this. And then
I think it does go back to knowing your audience, who you're talking to, because a lot of times what will happen is there'll be a non-technical person in the room and then more of a technical, technical person. It's good to have that combination where I can talk to the guy because they all know I'm a salesman, and I can talk to him in layman's terms, but then we have the application engineer that could really drill down into the technology. and it really does work well for us.
Especially if they've got questions.
Exactly.
And now, Steve's got that silky smooth voice, and he's got that mannerism that just really draws people in. So I like it when he talks about this stuff here. So
yeah. Smoothness of the machine is one of the trademarks of iMachining, everyone. And if you haven't run a toolpath, I love the fact, Ken, when you're running a toolpath, you'll kind of lean against the machine and feel what is going on with the machine. And I think you do get questions. It's like, hey, what are you doing leaning on the machine? And all of a sudden, then they're curious. You know, when you're leaning on the machine, because again of the technology behind iMachining, one of the big misconceptions is, oh yeah, great, I'm going to go 90 miles an hour, but I'm going to beat the heck out of my machine. Nothing could be further from the truth. Again, because of the technology, the way we manage that tool's engagement in the material, we're actually extending the life of the machine versus beating it up like our other friendly competitors do. Ken, I think you popped up a slide. Check out those chips. I mean,
oh yeah, this is, you know, at any of these trade shows where we're running a machine, if it's somebody I really feel is a what I would consider a very experienced machinist, if they don't walk up and do it automatically, I will recommend they lean against the machine. It's been kind of fun several times. I've been standing by the machine, and as soon as I start it, the guy who's going to be the decision maker immediately walks over and sticks his shoulder against the machine, leans in. And it's like, I know immediately, okay, this guy really knows what he's doing here. He's knows what he's listening to the sound of the cut. And a lot of times they'll close their eyes, you know, and just listen. And they'll watch it sometimes. But what I do is when it's done running, I'll open that chamber up, reach in and grab a handful of chips, spread them out in my hand and show them to them and talk about the consistency of that chip. Because then it opens up the opportunity to talk about the consistency of the force load on the machine. Because the remarkable savings that we're running into are not just in cycle time savings. Cycle time savings is fantastic. But Steve, there's other things too, aren't there?
Well, Ken, one other thing that I liked about when you do a presentation is you do go in and grab that tool. And you'll grab that tool after a real heavy cut, and you can basically just grab it with your bare hands. And again, that speaks to what, you know, again, how iMachining is different. We're not just plowing through material. We're managing that tool's engagement. So, you know, really you look at the win-win-win, extended tool life, never over-engaging the tool. Spindle life, load meters are remarkably low with iMachining, where if you're looking at some of those other copycat technologies, they're plowing through the metal. They're not managing that tool's engagement. They're plowing through the metal or the material, wrecking the spindle and decreasing the life of the machine. So, you know, Ken, going back to the disbelief factor, you know, talking about this, a lot of customers do say too good to be true. Let us prove it to you. And that's really what it boils down to, you know.
Yeah, so, you know, I had a fun conversation at IMTS 2016. It was kind of interesting. It had to do with the tools. We were talking about, in the presentation, we were talking about extended tool life and how not only are you going to get better cycle time, but your tools are going to last significantly longer. And it was rather interesting. One of the audience was a tool vendor. And he walked up to me after the presentation was over. Everybody was kind of milling around talking with each other. And he walks up and he says, you know, I would never promote this to any of my customers because I'm going to sell less tools. I said, no, you've got to understand. And I used that video we showed first of the TM2. I used that as the example. I said, look, the customer was burning up one tool per part on that, doing it their way. And he goes, yeah, I know, and I'm selling a ton of tools to them. I said, no, you're not picking up on the numbers. Do the numbers. We did that tool path in 7.5 minutes, and we got 10 parts per tool. So that means in the same time that he was doing one tool path, we were doing almost 25 parts, and we were using 2.5 tools to do that. So you're going to sell 2.5 tools in the same time frame that you sold one tool before. And not only that, but the customer is going to be excited to buy those extra tools from you because he just made 25 more parts in that hour or in that 2.5 hours than he would have made his way. And so when he saw that, there was this sudden recognition of, oh my goodness, yeah, I need to promote this to everybody. So when you're talking with your tooling vendors, make sure that they understand what this is going to do for them. It's a win-win-win situation. We get to win, the tooling vendor gets to win, and the customer big time wins. It's very, very cool.
Exactly.
Now, Steve, we also hear this, right? Yeah, but it's got to be super hard to program.
You know what? What we're seeing over here in the States and Canada is that finding programmers is a challenge for these shops. I always like to present it this way, Ken, in that iMachining is our gift to you, because really, in order to get a tool path that's even close to as effective as iMachining, you'd have to have, what, Ken, 20, 30 years experience in this industry to know feed, speed, step down, step overs.
You got to have some knowledge. Absolutely.
You got to have a ton of knowledge. With iMachining, the programming and all the difficulty of programming and roughing is taken out of the equation. I like to present it as an algorithm that we developed and patented. And that algorithm helps you become a 20, 30-year experienced machinist right out of the gate. So you're getting parts immediately with the optimal cycle time. Ken, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody, oh, see what you can do on this part, you know, and we're getting a cycle time of 2 minutes, and we pop up iMachining and we're, right in that ballpark. And let me ask you this, how long did it take you to get to that cycle time? If they're honest, they're saying, well, we've been tweaking on that part for about, 6 months to get there. With iMachining, boom, you're there right out of the gate. Exactly. So ease of programming, Ken, is another huge benefit of iMachining.
Yeah, and I remember a story. It was about 3 years ago. We were working with one of our customers down in Florida. I can't mention their name. They're kind of a tight security shop, but they were using VoluMill, and this complex part that they had, it was taking them 20 some odd tool paths in VoluMill to rough out the one side before they flipped it over. And we went in with iMachining, and with iMachining 3D, one tool path, and it roughed out that entire part, did everything, did all the rest machining, did all the scallop up, it did everything that they needed it to do, ready for the finished tool, and in fact, actually in a better semi-finished condition than what they were getting out of VoluMill with 20 some odd tool paths. And so not only did we do a better, faster, cleaner, smoother tool path than VoluMill produced, the programming time was reduced by literally hours. Okay. Now it doesn't happen that way with every part in the game, but this was a real part in one of our machine shop customers down in Florida. And so we want to make sure if you're presenting to your prospects and your customers, especially existing customers, you definitely want to show iMachining 3D and show how easy it is to program and set your scallop height so that your finishing end mill can go right directly from the iMachining toolpath into the finishing of the surface, and you're not going to get a bad effect in, for instance, waveform or something like that in the surface finish. It's going to be very, very consistent flex on that tool because these scallops are stabilized extremely tight. Very, very nicely done.
Ken, it was interesting. I was actually in a demonstration yesterday where a prospect was using adaptive roughing.
Those guys?
He quickly realized that with that uniform scallop height, 3D iMachining, because he asked about, a semi-finished pass. And I said, you know what? At the end of the day, you set the scallop height, you can immediately after 3D iMachining go to finishing. You're not going to, run into variations in the scallop height. And, again, light bulb went off. We're saving them time. We're saving them money.
Well, and another thing you can do in your presentation to them, and this is kind of interesting, like the goggle part, the core mold core that you see there. You can see how rough those steps are that they're doing in there right now. What I like to show people, because of the way iMachining works, and this is one of the really cool things about iMachining 3D, I can reduce that scallop by even more than half of the height that it is right now. And the time that it adds to the roughing toolpath is minimal. Yeah, it's going to extend it a little bit more, but not by much. It's not near as much as you would think it's going to do, because remember, it's doing the deep roughing, and then as it's walking its way up the surface inclination angles, it has to do that step up anyway, right, in order to walk its way up there. And it's either going to do a whole bunch of passes at one level and then jump up and do a whole bunch of passes at that next level, or it's going to do a bunch of passes at the one level and then it's going to walk its way up doing a lot of those passes that would be done at that next big level. It's going to do those walking up the surface. So you're not really adding additional tool paths. You're just changing the order in which they're done. And so in many cases, there's only like a 5% increase in the tool path cycle time for reducing the scallop by over half of the distance. It's an amazing thing to show a customer. And tell them when you do that, you just offset or obsoleted the need for that semi-roughing or the semi-finishing pass. So pretty powerful stuff. So how to demonstrate? Steve, you're the master in this. Tell us, what's the game plan here?
You know, really, again, I'll kind of go back to what we kicked it off with. A lot of times these guys have seen, you know, highly stylized presentations, you know, we call it the dog and pony show, Ken. I think really at the end of the day, it's
who's the dog and who's the pony?
Well, exactly. When you get, you know, right down to it, you have to, you know, as Ken put it on the slide here, sell reality. You know, we're not out here to trick anybody. This stuff is truly unique in the marketplace. So, you know, you have to really build your credibility and make them aware that you're interested in exposing them to a technology that can really help them. So, you know, we do like to start out with maybe not the highly polished videos, showing them reality. That's going to resonate with the guy that has the older equipment. Like Ken said earlier too, it's going to resonate with the guy that has state-of-the-art equipment, because he's looking at that going, holy cow, if they can get that performance out of that old dog, imagine what I could do. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the key things, guys, this is something that works over here really, really well. And Steve is very good at this. Stay casual. If you can create an environment where the customer is very comfortable in talking to you, you begin to build that relationship with that customer from the very moment you start talking with them. And if you can create that sense that you're here to help him, you're not here to try to sell him something. Yes, you're trying to convince him to invest in something that's very, very important for their machine shop. It's an investment that is well worth what it takes to get there. But you got to do that in a very casual and a very comfortable way, because remember, we're talking with guys that are on the shop floor. We're talking to guys who have spent most of their life in a machine shop. And that's one of the things Steve is so good at just really creating that sense of comfort almost instantly when the conversation starts.
Well, and what I'll say too, Ken, is, hey, you know, this might look similar. If you have questions, there's no such thing as a dumb question. If there's something you don't quite understand or want more detail on, please ask it. We'll be happy to address it. We want to make sure that we get across that this isn't just another one of those Me Too type products. This is truly unique technology, and we want to make sure that you see that.
Right, right. And then capitalize on those marketing videos. You know, the ones that are stylized and they're pretty and they're super high speed, reinforce that idea that I like to call this interdependent technologies, okay? We have technologies of the machine, technologies of the tool holder, the coolant, There's all kinds of different technologies that are interdependent to each other. And when that equation fits correctly, then the performance goes to a completely new level, okay? But you don't have to buy that. You don't have to go out and get all those expensive pieces in order to gain a super advantage from using iMachining. iMachining is going to come out of the gate and it's going to make whatever machine you've got, whatever tools you're using, perform significantly better than you've ever seen them perform before. And so that's really the main message here. We wanted to take you to that area. Inspire your customers. If you can get them excited and you can show them that the investment is worth what they're going to do for it, highly worth it, okay, then we don't have a problem getting people to buy iMachining. It's kind of a no-brainer.
100%, Ken. You know, I will say this too, Ken, as much as I'd like to have included iMachining on each and every sale, we still have a little bit of a ways to go. You know,
sure.
I think Emil put out those numbers, 84, I think, on 2D iMachining over here, and 56, 57%.
Yeah, I think he wants about another 20% on that 84.
Exactly. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow, but I haven't sold iMachining with every account. Sometimes there's just so much financial pressure that it just doesn't allow it, that you do have to, something's better than nothing. You want to get SolidCAM in the door. Okay, we can't, you know, justify, or they didn't see the light, but they saw the value in SolidCAM as a whole. They bought a package without iMachining. Interesting story, I'll just share it quickly, Ken. We had SolidCAM into a school, and the kind of the manager of the shop was running, again, there was money pressure. It's a school, they didn't have a lot of money. He's gonna bust out on his own, start his own little machine shop. He said, Steve, could you help me out? I'd like to get going with SolidCAM in my shop. I'm just in the process of putting together the finances to make it all happen. Can you help me out with software in the short term? Obviously, for sure, love to. Gave him a demonstration license. It was wide open, had iMachining 2D and 3D. He started playing with it and he said, tell me how much iMachining, excuse me, how much does iMachining would it be to add on to my system? And I told him, and he said, sorry, Ken, I don't have my second cup of coffee down.
No.
But he saw the value of iMachining and what he was going to do. He brought it into the school. Imagine this, they found the money at the school and literally told me his programmer was kind of upset with him because old technology stepped down into a pocket. Parts were taking 5-6 hours. He brought iMachining into the school, and guess what? That cycle time was 20, 30, 40 minutes, I think. And he said, now my guy actually has to work at school, and he's not happy. So, you know, if you can't get that iMachining module in on an initial sale, please offer them a trial version of iMachining so they can see it for themselves. Ken, I think you had some ideas.
Include your tech people on that too. Don't just drop it on their lap and say, here you go, try it out, see what you think. Give them an hour over the website and over, GoToMeeting or whatever you guys are using, and teach them about iMachining. Teach them how to use it. If they're already familiar with SolidCAM's general interface and doing pocketing routines and so forth, they're going to pick up on iMachining very quickly. If you give them an hour's lesson on what's behind iMachining, why it works, how it works, and how to set the wizard properly, they're going to have success immediately. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take them long, guys. They look at those numbers, and the ROI is so quick. Steve, I think you said there was something about one of our customers. What did he say to you? It was in the first job or something?
Literally paid for the software and iMachining in his first job in quicker cycle time, longer tool life. You know,
yeah, absolutely. And so stick in there, guys. Hang with it. Do your best. As Emil said, and this is really true reality. You're doing a disservice to your customers if you don't push them to invest in iMachining. And it's not about selling them something. It's about getting them to invest in the value of iMachining. And if they're using 2D and 3D iMachining, they are going to see just fantastic growth in their productivity.
It's our gift to the machining community, Ken.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And with that, I think we're ready to close up. Sydney, did we have any heavy-duty questions anywhere?
No, I think everyone was just amazed by the information where you said it was.
Or sound asleep, one or the other. That's happened before.
That has.
So, all right, well, everybody enjoy your day and start thinking up some creative ways to get out there and sell iMachining. Again, if you're on site training somebody and you're teaching them how to use iMachining, try to get some videos on that, because those videos are just absolutely fantastic, especially if you've got the customer in there and there's their voices in there and they're excited about what they're seeing. Those are worth their weight in gold.
Amen.
All right, everybody, have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for the time.
All right, bye.